Hold it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Thursday night outdoors. With me tonight
Yay!
is Shane Cannon, co-host, and we
Hey,
have
buddy.
John. We have John Sparks, who's producer on the show. That's the guy right there. And with special guest tonight, we're going to have John Jeffcoat from One Over Outdoors. It's going to be an exciting show. A lot of you guys, you probably tuned in. I hope you found the feed because, yes, I pushed the wrong button and something just went crazy and I had to reinitiate that's enough, John, and reinitiate the feed tonight. So I hope eventually everybody will find us here tonight. But anyways, tonight, John is going to be John Jeffcoat. He's from South Carolina, down around Columbia area. And I wanted to have him on tonight because John is really knowledgeable in a lot of things. As a matter of fact, I found out today, and I have to talk to him about that. He's very knowledgeable in striper fishing. But anyways, John, he catfishes. He crappie fishes down on Lake Murray, and I did make in a comment earlier today. I said Lake Wiley, but I didn't mean Wiley. I meant Watery. So I want to correct that. But he crappie fishes on a lot of them lakes, and he also, I guess, John, you shell cracker fish and brim fish also in the Santee Cooper area. So tonight's show is going to be kind of geared around John, his channel, what he does. I know, John. I talked to him the other night, and he's got some new things that he's thinking of doing with this show. He's thinking of bringing his show, his YouTube show, to a different, I don't know, I guess you'd want to say a different, on a different focus, okay? Not just all fishing. So, John, if you would, just tell the folks out there a little bit about yourself and talk to us a little bit about this new venture. I know I saw a couple of your videos about this new property you have, and you've done some really great stuff on deer hunting. So just briefly touch on that a little bit, if you would, please.
Well, like I said, I grew up fishing Santee Cooper, Murray, Watery, all these lakes pretty much around us. Fishing for just about every species, crappie, like you said, everything. I've also hunted most of my life as well. So to be honest with you, I think hunting is more of a passion than fishing for me. I would put it probably a 60-40 over fishing. Not that I don't dislike fishing at all, but just hunting just adds that. For me, that's my go-to. There's nothing better than getting in the woods before daylight and just having that good solid hour to just sit there and collect yourself. So, but yeah, my dad purchased this farm in January. We went and looked at it at the end of last year, and he ended up buying it. So we've been doing a lot of work on it as far as putting in food plots, stands, feeders, and running supplemental nutrition, running huge mineral sites made up of dicalcium phosphate, trace minerals, crushed trophy rock, and we've got some really nice deer coming in. So the main focus of my channel, and what I kind of meant for it to be all along, is you and I spoke when you came down and we went out to dinner that night, is to kind of do a little bit of everything. I know last year I kind of hammered the catfish, and it's not really so much as it's kind of like to cement yourself, like to say, okay, you might know a little bit about catfishing and kind of show people my technique as far as catfishing goes. And I try to do that with different species. I'll kind of try to hammer out a few videos for bass or brim or crappie, just to kind of give everybody a chance to see what I've done over, a few video span, not just one video. But if you can go back over the last 2 years and just look at, the different categories and stuff we got going on. But yeah, I'm excited about this year with the hunting. I'm going to try to do some live streaming on the deer hunts. I don't really see much of that. So
that's not something I see a whole lot. Even live streaming fishing is not a huge thing that is done much anymore.
Oh yeah, and especially with the deer hunts, I've already got what I plan on doing down pat. So it'll be neat to watch a big
Oh,
buck
heck yeah.
shot live, or take a doe for the freezer, or watch my wife possibly shoot her first deer live. So
Oh, that would be awesome, dude. That would be
I'm
awesome.
trying to definitely step into that other realm, which you don't really see on YouTube. Like, you'll see the
Yeah.
live stream fishing, but as far as live stream hunting,
It's
like
not
in duck
done.
hunting, yeah. So when Dad purchased the farm, the land across the street, the people he purchased it from also own a lot of land across the street. They own that whole property. So there's no hunting pressure whatsoever where his farm is.
Yeah.
The guy next to us, he only shoots one deer a year, and that's just for the freezer. And then across the streets, the people that Dad bought his land from, and they've given us permission to use their 10-acre duck impound that they never hunted. 50
Oh,
years
wow.
old. So yeah, me and Jim were talking about that yesterday. We went up and put wood duck boxes, and there's videos of that. But live stream duck hunting, live stream turkey hunting. I plan on trying to do a lot of this stuff and step into that different realm, to open a whole new aspect of YouTube, because people want to see live stuff.
They do. They really do. And it's a shame that people are doing. I mean, I understand doing the pre-recorded thing. I get that. So that way you have something fresh that you can put out when you're not doing the live streaming. But live streaming, there's something so special about actually having some live audience interaction. Like, hey, where are you at? What did you use? What are you hunting with? Things like that. I think that's really important. It just creates a little bit more realism, like what we're doing right now. I used to run a simply audio podcast that I would do ahead of time and then put out. But there's something so special about what is happening right here with the four of us. People are actually seeing the interactions between us. They're able to connect with us. We're able to connect with them and connect with each other better. So I think the live stream hunting would be absolutely beautiful.
But touching on that, I told Jim, and he's gonna call me out on this. I told you 2 years ago when you come down that I was just doing this for fun.
And we talked about the other night. When we talked about the other night, I called you out on it, and I said, you've changed your whole attitude, John, because when John and I first met, 3 years ago, it was like, I'm just doing it for fun. It's not important for me to make any money. But now his whole focus has changed. And it's just, I think after a while, people, you folks get into this, and those who are really serious, who really have the passion for doing hunting and fishing and outdoor programming, after a while, they get to the point where, this is really neat. I get to engage with other people personally on a personal level, and we get to talk and discuss about different tips and techniques and what works better for one person and what works better for another. So, it's kind of cool to see, to have John on the Outdoor Adventures channel, and to see him kind of, I mean, don't take it strong, John, but kind of evolve, and I've seen a lot of this in the past where some make it and some don't.
And, a lot of it, you kind of have to sit back and look at your channel, and you kind of have to grade yourself. You know what I mean? You can't really just, yes, you can put out content. Yes, you can, but then you have to start grading your feedback. It's some, anybody that says they don't pay attention to the dislikes or likes or comments, they're we're people. We all like for somebody. We all like to feel appreciated. We always want that, like that sense of gratitude. Like, hey, I like what you're doing. That pat on the back, so to speak. So, I kind of have to. I sit back and I try to grade my channel, and see the people interact with me. And, then you have to kind of look at, the variety of stuff. And that's one good thing about the Carolina Outdoors Adventures channel. You have a variety of stuff. So you really want to appease everybody.
Right.
And like going back to the live deer hunting, and also at this game, it's a competitive game as well. So you always have to be that step above your competition. Exactly. So like I said, there's really no live deer hunting. So people will be able to interact with me. I'm going to have an earbud in, so you'll be able to hear me whispering. Obviously, I'm not going to be talking like I am now, but, you'll get to interact with me while I'm in the stand hunting. And during this time of the year, our season starts August 15th. So, it's not like you're going to be in there 5 hours with me. I'm only going to be in the last hour and a half, maybe 2 hours most of daylight. So it's not like you're spending your whole day. But, you know, somebody can come home from work at 5 and just say, hey, dude's deer hunting live. I'm going to check this out. Who knows what we'll kill? Coyotes or, you know, whatever.
I mean, who knows? It could start a whole new trend, and you could have been the guy that did it.
I got a question here that I do want to answer. It's from Mark Davis. He used to be on our program with us there, and you know, he ventured off into bigger and better things. But and I'd like you also to follow up for me, if you would, John Sparks, if you would. Do you see that question?
Yeah.
On the screen. Okay.
Yeah.
Mark, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you feel the reason you do not see a live stream would be a lack of attention needed to keep the audience interactive with the stream?
Right.
If so, how do you plan to overcome this hurdle?
So who's that one for?
Go ahead. Anyways, I'll start. Okay, John. Hey, anyways, Mark, you know, yes, you're right. And I know through your and my involvement, there's a big lack of attention with the audience with different live streams and videos and things like that. And I think it's because a lot of people, they come to YouTube or they come to different platforms to try to learn information. Now, this is my personal feeling. If I go to YouTube and watch John or watch Shane or somebody, it's because I'm trying to learn something. You know, Shane went and caught a whole bunch of white bass. I didn't even know white bass were still in existence in the country anymore, but I found out differently. But so I think, you know, I think probably there's a big lack of attention as far as live stream goes, Mark. Don?
Yep. Me or
which John?
No, yeah, the one in the bottom, the guy on the bottom.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there you
go. Producer man.
Right, so I obviously I have 2 live stream shows that I do every week. I have occasionally on what my side project, my own YouTube channel. I do something very different than outdoors, but I do occasionally. I will do investigations live. And the one thing that I have discovered that keeps a lot of that attention going is, even if you're not getting a ton of interaction, anecdotes, talking about, you know, how it is that you are, you know, where did your passion come from? How did you get started in this? You know, what is your knowledge level? You know, what do you do to keep fresh on knowledge and keep fresh on things like this? What are you still learning? Things like that, because that's going to engage people's minds. They're going to go, oh, I would have never thought of that. And then they're going to come up with another question, or they're going to throw up a like or a heart or whatever. And I think that that's kind of, for me, that's the approach that I take. Even giving history of the area that you're in, history of the place that you are, things like that. I think it's always good to be mindful and be prepared that there are going to be lulls in what you're doing, but you have to know how to attack it and go head on into this, because, you know, I could sit there. For those of you guys who don't know what I do outside of this and my day job, I am a paranormal investigator. So when I am in locations and I'm doing a live stream, say I'm walking through a cemetery or something, you know, I've got information in my back pocket. You know, this is the oldest cemetery in the area. You know, here's some history on the area. It's some people that would be in here. Things like this, you know, like, oh, we're coming up upon, you know, an area of unmarked graves. That would be a potter's field. That's for the people that, so on and so forth. It's about having that information ready to go, because there are going to be those moments. Yeah. And like a callback, even, you know, just stories, everything. If you are prepared and you can come up with stuff on the fly, awesome.
That's right. Yeah. You know this guy from Big Country Catfishing, John? He says, "What's up?"
What's up, Big Country Catfishing? Yes, I'm pretty sure
you
I
know
do.
Him? Well, that's good. I'm glad somebody tuned in tonight and watched you. But anyways, if you're just tuning in, everybody, we're just having a good time tonight. We've got a special guest on that I've known for a few years, John Jeffcoat from One Over Outdoors. We're going to get into talking some catfishing here and brim fishing and deer hunting and things. And we're going to pick John's ear. So if you want to ask any questions, just let him know. We've got two Johns tonight. The John on the top's John Jeffcoat. The John on the bottom is John Sparks. So
just if you have a question for him, put John. If you have a question for me, put Sparks.
Okay, there you go.
Super simple.
Sparky.
No, not Sparky. Not Sparky.
No,
not Sparky.
Okay.
No.
All right. So anyways, we're just having a good time here. We'll answer any questions anybody might have. I'm trying to watch the screen and popping up the comments as I see them. But John, all right, today, I have to admit, I was cyber stalking you, okay? Looking for more information, more questions, and I believe I can throw some digs at you and you take it as a big joke. But you were striper fishing today. How come? Catfish not biting or what? Okay. It took you too long to answer.
No.
Next question.
I'll answer the first one. It's I used to do a good bit of striper fishing, to be honest with you, and
okay.
You got so much going on between crappie and bass and catfish and brim and all this other stuff. It was just one of them things. I wanted to put my dad and my buddy and my son on some fish, so we decided to go up there and I decided to, show them I can do it a little bit. You know what I mean? Pull out all the stuff.
Actually, I got a question for you.
You caught some nice ones.
Oh yeah, they were most of them were over 23 inches.
Was that Murray?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
So, where does the name One Over Outdoors come from?
Good. You took once again. You took my question.
When we were
gonna say, I'm good.
When I started this thing, we had about 100 different names, and it was kind of like it can go both ways. One Over the Limit is kind of where it comes from. One Over the Limit of bass, or it also can be like One Over the Limit on DUI. You know what I mean? So
at least you have a name for your show. This guy down here doesn't.
Yeah. Whatever.
So yeah, it's pretty much like One Over the Limit. So
okay, that's good.
Or you can get pulled over, get a ticket for going one over the limit. Yeah. It really has nothing to do with getting tickets. More so fishing and outdoors based. So honestly, I don't like the name now. The more and more I think about it, but at this late in the game, it's kind of hard to change everything and start it all over. So you kind of just stuck with it.
Yeah, we did that. We did that back here. I don't know what, Shane, probably 3 or 4 years ago. We made a slight name change, and it took a little bit to gain a little bit more momentum when we did change it. But it was for the best. We just changed it from magazine to what did we change to, Sean? Shane, Adventures, right?
Yeah, just Carolina Outdoor Adventures.
Yeah. So we were just having a lot of people say, wanting a magazine, and they didn't understand the principle, the fact that we were a video magazine trying to teach, that type of thing. But anyways, all right. So you're striper fishing today.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit about striper fishing on Lake Murray. It's one of my favorite lakes, other than Clark's Hill and Santee. But what was using for bait?
We were using herring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This time of year, you catch a lot of smaller fish in that 50 to 60 foot range, but you also have the thermocline starting to form. Yeah. And so the larger fish at this time of year, the thermocline isn't as defined yet as it will be in full blown summer. So some of the larger fish can kind of hang out in it for small periods of time. And so we were fishing, I think, between 108 and 120 foot of water. and
Mhm.
we were pretty much dropping it to the bottom and reeling up to where it was about a foot or two above that thermocline, because the thermocline was probably about 5 to 6 foot off the bottom. And so you'd watch on the screen and watch the large stripers come up out of it. But pretty much spot locked in the area. It's river channel area that kind of goes like a Y around the hump. We were kind of parked in the intersection. So the stripers had one area to go. They could either go to the left or go to the right. And they weren't going to go up on that hump because it was a shallower hump. So.
Right. Without giving out too many secrets, you were down close to the dam area.
Mid-lake, I would say mid-lake.
Yeah. Well, at least Shane and I have done what you did today, so I mean we're kind of familiar with what you were doing. What about the catfishing on? I know every time I see you, and don't get me wrong, I love Santee Cooper, but I've tried to branch out here over the past few years and find other lakes. I think I like. You're probably gonna kick me for this, but I think I like Clark's Hill Lake a little bit better. For a lot of reasons. Have you ever fished it up there on Storm Thurmond Lake?
I have bass fished on Clark's Hill. Yes, I've bass fished.
They've got some good catfishing. They got excellent striper fishing.
Yep. And crappie fishing as well.
And crappie fishing. But back to Santee Cooper. Now, I think I've probably fished it, I don't know, going on 25-ish years or so, somewhere in there. I hooked up way back in the early 90s with a gentleman down there that kind of took me under his wing when we first started television. And he was a guide down there, and he said, "Dan, you want to come out and film? Come out and film." So we did. And I learned a lot about the lake. You fish the upper lake. You fish Marion mostly. And and I'm more used to fishing down on the lower lake, Moultrie. And I don't know why is that. I don't know. I just I guess it's because I used to say I was brought up on Lake Marion. Okay, I like where you fish. I have never fished a lot around Pax Landing in some of the areas you fish, but I have down at Stumphole Swamp, which is just down the road away. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the difference. And we had talked about the other night, we're going to show people some different techniques and different things we use catfishing. Because, folks, when I say it, John goes out and he catches big fish. He really does. I didn't really get enough screenshots to show you tonight, but he catches big catfish. I've accused him of not showing little ones now and then, but he's just not a little, it's like, come on, John. I know
he's cursed me. Now I won't catch any big
little fish. Okay. So anyways, but let's talk a little bit. I'm used to fishing the deeper water of Moultrie for catfish, but you're catching some of these monsters in 2 and 3 feet of water, drift fishing or dragging, whatever you decide you're going to do that day, and you're pretty successful. Talk to the people a little bit. What are you using for bait? What's going on up there?
Well, I'm gonna go back just a tad.
Okay.
So we did a couple. Well, we did a couple holiday shows. I think it was around Christmas time, maybe right after Christmas. As far as Lake Murray, we caught some 30 pound plus fish up in Murray.
I remember, yes.
Bunch of channel catfish, but I kind of grew up fishing just about every style for catfish. We between parking in grass beds and fishing with live brim. In shallow water, we would always go down to the canal several times of the year and stay and fish down that way. We fished Moultrie, we fished down at the locks. We fished, we've pretty much fished all over as far as the whole Santee Cooper system is. And but I think we always stuck to the upper end because I was explaining to Shane earlier that it's only 35 minutes from my house. I'm 35 minutes from Low Falls, or Pax, and I'm 20 minutes from where we went to Murray today and 35 minutes from Wateree.
Right.
So the canal's about an hour 15 from me.
Yeah. Moultrie's probably another hour from where you're fishing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
That's where we always grew up fishing. Now we did fish the other parts of Santee, the Santee Cooper system, but I always grew up fishing the upper part in the shallow water. So I knew the big fish were there. I mean, I watched my uncle and dad. I grew up watching them. Saturday morning, we were pulling in 50 and 60 pound plus fish just about every trip. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't nothing for him to catch a 70 or 80 and 4 foot of water. So I grew up knowing the fish were there. Now, we didn't drag growing up. A lot of times we were parked fishing grass beds, these gator grass beds that house, shiners and brim and all kind of bait fish. But so I kind of started dragging. Golly, it's been when I got my own boat. When I was old enough to get my own boat, I kind of started doing more drift fishing and dragging. I used to do it with a foot control trolling motor, which is not fun. Trying to run to the back of the boat and control your boat with a foot control trolling motor. So, but pretty much what we use, I've got a couple rods right here. Pretty much what I use, this is a Boo Garcia 6500. Let me turn this thing over.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
John, can you just break that in half a little bit because it doesn't fit in the picture?
Oh, yeah. But no, this is a 65. This is a 6500 C3 spool with 40-pound reaction tackle mono. Now I run 40-pound on 6 of my rigs and mono, and then I'll run 65-pound reaction braid on 6 of them. And the reason why I do that is my mono rods are the rods that when I'm dragging and pulling planter boards, those are rods that I don't throw out as far because you can't put as much line since it's a bigger line. So with braid, you can put a lot more line on this reel.
Okay.
But going to this is an 8/0 hook, 8/0 circle hook snelled.
Okay.
Got a Versa rattle there. You've got a cat and shad right here, or you can use a 3-inch peg float and going into your bloodline drift weight. And this is a 3-ounce weight. So basic Santee rig.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess yes. I would say it's a reformed Santee rig. I mean, when back 25 years ago, what I would call the basic original was where you had let's see if I can fumble across my table here and knock stuff over, where you had a float like that used a peg. And I know you've used that back, John. And I know you've been experimenting a lot, but that was the old way where you had your sinker on there, and this kept your bait up above the bottom a little bit, so it didn't get snagged up as much. And you just dragged, or when you drifted, you just dragged this across the water with your bait on the end and a leader. And there's been a lot over the past years. A lot of you guys that have been experimenting have redesigned different things. Like now they use them big I guess the name for them it's not the float, it's them demon. Is that what you have?
Demon Dragon.
Dragon, yep. They use them, and that kind of goes in line without the plug, right, John?
Yeah, pretty much it's a top water popper, and as you see, it's got you basically just run your line through where the eyes you would tie it on and your hooks would be. Now, one of the worst things you could do is tie your line up at the front and then tie your line at the back, because these are just little small screws going in here. So if you tie your line at the front and tie your line at the back, it's going to break off. So you really just want to run it through.
You just carry your line right through.
Yeah, kind of thread it through all of them.
Okay.
So you can slide it up or down it. So
okay. All right. Well, see, there's a neat little trick right there I didn't know about. But you guys have refined this a lot. Sinkers like these that I'm used to using, that's like a river sinker, and they work good. But I've always been used back in the day, 20 years ago, we used like a barrel sinker.
Yep. Yep.
But now they're using the ones that have split shot and or lead of some kind inside a paracord, and they call it what?
Well, they call them slinky weights, but this
everybody
has
has a different name. Yes, yeah,
yeah.
And then really just kind of drag over things where something like this, if you hauled it over a log or brush, it would have a tendency to fall down into it and maybe get snagged, and that would probably just kind of drift over the branches and just keep on going.
Well, one thing about these I can speak on, the technology has definitely come a long way.
Please, yeah.
But see, this part here is a float, so it actually stands it up off the bottom. So you really don't want to. A lot of guys, when they're running these, they'll run your peg float or your demon dragon. They'll run them close to the hook. But if you're already standing up 1.5 feet off the bottom, you know what I mean, and you're running this down here, I run a 3.5 foot leader. You're 3 foot, 3.5 foot off the bottom, which I mean, in some cases is fine. But like you spoke earlier, I'm running 2 and 3 foot, 4 foot of water. Well, I don't want my stuff on top of the water during the daytime. If I run it like that with that demon dragon down there, it's up at the top of the water, on top of the water where the garfish are. Now at night,
I've had these float up on top too.
Yep. At night, I will slide that down about 2 or 3 inches from the hook, just enough to where that Versa rattle's going to spin.
Okay.
And I actually catch big catfish on top water. They will hit on top water at night.
Okay, now let me talk to you about that. You brought it up, that Versa rattler. Now, I've read books. The old school talked about that catfish don't see well. But now the new schools, it's like, well, why are you using all these different colors and these different things if catfish don't see well? The rattle, to me, anything with a rattle, I don't care if you're fishing for bass or crappie or sharks, I don't care. That's an attractant. They're going to hear that noise. Do you think that rattle on them lines when you're fishing makes that much difference?
I would say it's about 50-50. I'm going to be honest with you. For the longest time growing up, and I'm sure y'all heard it the same way, everybody's catfish. Catfish were a deep water fish. You know what I mean? You always caught them in deep, deep parts of the lake. But, I'm catching these predatory blues, and I think a lot of times it's more so of a reaction bite than anything. They're hiding. Where I'm dragging it's not some 3 foot, like perfectly clear grass field. I mean, there are stumps every 5 foot. And so what these big fish do is they'll sit there and hang behind a stump. And so when you have a Versa rattle and you have a cat and shad, or a demon dragon or some kind of vibration, they automatically their predatory instinct says, okay, something's coming, I probably can eat it. Doesn't sound large. And so they will actually just sit behind that stump, and as it passes, just hammer it. And so, like I said, it's more so of a reaction bite. And that we catch a lot of big catfish during the spawn in this shallow water because of that same principle. It's not necessarily that they're hungry, but that vibration, that Versa rattle.
Reaction.
Yeah, it's a reaction bite. And
I can agree with that because I actually, Jim, I told you when we went out the first time that we were just kind of cutting up and filming. When I was probably 14, 15 years old, I was fishing at a pond right behind my house, and I saw some commotion up underneath this tree. I tossed this little beetle spin out there, and I caught a 5.5 pound catfish off of a topwater beetle spin.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was shocked, absolutely shocked. But it 100%. It's got to be a reaction bite. That's the only way to explain that.
Right, and I think you're right.
Not saying that you're not going to catch fish, but see, a lot of these places I fish, Santee's well known for mussel bars, and Jim will speak on that. Both lakes have a very, very pronounced mussel population. And so you would think, and I'm going to kind of answer Alan's question here that popped up.
Okay, I'm glad you saw that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, as far as big baits, I don't really use any big baits. If I'm sitting still, a lot of times I'll fish those big live brim that you see. But we're running like little bitty pieces of cut bait, and it kind of mimics what a mussel would look like.
Okay.
And so, pulling in this shallow water, they sit up on these mussel bars, and Jim, you caught them yourself. These fish, you can kind of rub their stomach, and they got shells and all kind of stuff. And that's, to be honest with you, I think that's one of the things.
I literally have caught catfish in Santee. Now, John, this is with John, you're gonna laugh, and shook them and heard the mussels rattle inside. They inhale these mussels, and I guess what they do is they wait for them to open. I don't know. Shane just went bye-bye. I don't know what happened there, but they are you got a spook in the house, John? They open these mussels, and what ended up happening, I think that their digestive system then digests them from inside the shell.
Yep.
That's what I think happens.
Then they push the shells out.
And then they spit the shells out. And I have, now this is years and years ago, but you just kind of tripped this little thing in my mind. I've been fishing in the diversionary canal down by, between the power plant and Blacks. And when the mussels, a lot of people don't realize when they move, they don't swim. They fill themselves full of air. They come up to the top and they float with the current. And then when they get where they think they need to be, they like a submarine, they blow their ballast and they go down. But I have seen catfish that you couldn't catch unless you were mimicking the mussels, what they were doing in the canal. I mean, I've seen them that were unbelievable in Santee. Just come up and they would just waller and just come up and inhale their mussels as they were floating down in the river. Unbelievable.
They're really good bait. A lot of times when I was coming up and we would stay at the canal for like a week at a time, we would just go by and scoop them up with a net, and you'd have a bucket of them, a little gold hook and a split shot, and you would wear the catfish out that way.
Right. Alan, I want to finish. I want to pick up a little bit on what John was talking about here. You're asking, what do you do with a lake that you don't know if they have big catfish, and you're just trying to catch some catfish. I would say what I do when I go to a lake that I don't know about, and I'm sure that you and Shane, because I know you fish with Shane, do the same thing. When you go to a lake that you don't really know what kind of catfish are in there, what size they are, you do what I do when I'm going out. When me and the guys go out crappie fishing, you research the lake. I try to take at least an hour and use my depth finder, use my electronics and whatever knowledge I might have, and try to find out where the fish are and what they're doing. That's not to say that you're going to find fish and throw one, they're going to be catfish. But I guess, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess catfish are primarily going to be the fish you're going to see closest to the bottom. I guess at certain
I would say so. At certain times,
certain time.
Yeah.
So
I would even say something to look at while you're researching is because like you said, there are certain lakes and places like that have a mussel population, a big mussel population.
Exactly.
But take a look at what is the food chain there? What is it that they are going to be wanting to chomp on? What are you going to be able to throw that is going to make them need to bite?
Right. Match the hatch is what I always try to say.
Hey, I was going to say that. And
that's a T-shirt, man. That's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
There you go. That is a good T-shirt. Exactly. Don't take it. I'm going to make that T-shirt.
You got to send me one now. You got to send me a T-shirt.
Me and Bo had that same discussion the other day. I believe it was Bo. Maybe it was me and John. I don't know. It's me and somebody. But anyhow, we were talking about the fact that I could go to Santee and bring herring from Santee and fish with them up here. Never catch a fish. You never catch a down catfish. And you know why? Because they're not prevalent in our lakes.
No.
We don't have herring. It's shad and other things. What are we going to go ahead, Shane?
No, I just started to elaborate on that a little bit. Like if you got a lake that's full of shiners, you don't want to be throwing shad or vice versa. Or, if you got shad, you don't want to be throwing herring, or you want to make sure you're fishing something that is natural in the water.
I'll tell you a good bait, Alan, that you should try is shrimp, because shrimp mimic what a crawfish would be.
Yeah.
And now the thing about them is, don't fish them with the shell on, but they got to be raw.
And
you can't go to like your local seafood buffet. Yep. You can't go to your seafood buffet and take the breading off of them. But get you some raw shrimp. Yeah, take the shells off of them. And that is a really good way to catch catfish and find big catfish, because most of these lakes across the United States are rivers and streams and creeks have a really prominent crawfish population. And so that's a really good bait. Big fish is not true all the time. A lot of times I'm using small baits catching fish. So, that goes back, that match the hatch as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll eat crawfish.
And two things. Does anybody still find that chicken livers are phenomenal to use out there for catfishing?
Oh, that's a bad word to say on here. Chicken livers. Oh,
hey, now
man.
listen. I grew up a poor redneck. Okay.
There was
$1.25 at Walmart. Okay.
There was a day when I didn't know better. You and I are going to have a long discussion. Okay.
I'm just saying.
Answer your question. No, seriously. I'll answer it. To answer your question, I used to throw chicken livers before I knew better. Okay. 30 years ago. Now I don't even know they exist, but they do catch catfish. But I'm going to tell you what I found. I think there are certain baits like stink bait. I'm a believer. If you want to go catch numbers, throw stink bait, throw night crawlers, throw chicken livers. Okay. If you want to catch numbers, if you want to catch big fish, throw live bait, throw something that they actually eat in the lake. But
because the big ones know better. The big ones know better.
Chicken livers do work. They do. I'm going to be the first to admit it. I mean, they do work. I've caught fish, but I always had a lot of catfish, and they were just nibblers. And I've caught a lot of little catfish on chicken livers. So
mostly channel cat.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if you want to fill the cooler, you're fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My second thing is that if you are going to use breaded shrimp, make sure you use tartar sauce. Everybody knows. Everyone loves tartar sauce.
No. Horse wrap. Shrimp.
The cocktail sauce.
Cocktail. You got to have cocktail sauce.
There you go. That's it. Yeah.
You got to have cocktail sauce on them shrimp.
Got a question for you, John.
Okay. I'm trying to keep you, folks. I'm trying to keep these guys serious tonight, okay? But you can see
all righty, we gotta stay serious.
Total failure.
You got the wrong man on here.
We're having a good time. We got a special guest on tonight, John Jeff Coat from One Over Outdoors, and he's down there around Columbia, South Carolina. He's a good fisherman. He catches catfish, he catches crappie. If it's got fins, he catches it. So he's on our show tonight, and we're talking about catfishing. I think we're going to switch over here in a little bit and talk about brim fishing, and then maybe talk about a little bit about his deer hunting. So what's next? What's next for One Over Outdoors, John?
Well, I was going to go out Tuesday, and do another striper video, take the kids out, let them have fun. What in the world? What is that noise? I don't know that. I don't know what that noise was. I heard something.
Fun.
I don't know.
All right. Anyway, so But
I think. Excuse me a minute, guys. Excuse me just a minute. Excuse me. Do you mind? You're interrupting my audience.
I didn't know what that was. I thought.
Okay. Go ahead.
I didn't know
God,
what
is
that was.
First thing tomorrow morning, looking for a new job.
But we were going to go out Tuesday and try to get on some stripers, but I don't know if the weather's going to last, with that system coming in. So I'm definitely not getting out there in 20-mile-an-hour winds. But no, I don't do that. I don't need to get out of video that bad. I don't know. I kind of just, I don't know whatever I feel like doing, I kind of just do it. I wouldn't mind going down and getting on. I know we got on a brim bed. I had a catfish tournament this past weekend. We got on a brim bed and caught 60 in an hour and a half. And I mean, every one of them was like that. So, yeah.
On Santee?
Yep.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I wouldn't mind doing another brim video. Especially getting on a bed.
You're like me, and yeah. The thing is, you're like me and Shane and stuff. It's like, well, what do we fish for today? It's like we like to catfish, we like to trout fish. I mean, Shane's an excellent trout fisherman. I mean, we've done a lot of shows with Shane, trout fishing. What do we do this week? And it's hard to really, and I think we do this because we want to keep our audience always looking at new ideas and new things that we're doing out here, fishing and hunting.
Well, a lot of guys go off of the every 3 days premise. I got to get a video. Out. But I look at the quality of the video as well. I mean, if you're posting videos every 3 days, that's great. But at the same time, if they're not quality, they don't capture people's attention.
Exactly.
And there's no point in doing it. It actually hurts you worse. So I would rather put all my eggs in one good video a week.
Yeah.
Gonna get a lot of
views.
Agree.
I agree.
And go off that kind of algorithm than to sit there and put a video out every 2 or 3 days just to put a video out. And
I can agree with that.
Yeah,
because having like a live stream like what I do, like I literally started my YouTube as just a live stream. And then I actually started doing investigation videos and things like that. But, back when I didn't have a job, I was spending all of my time that I was not searching for a job editing videos. So I had all of them backed up. Quality, really good videos that I had put together that take me about a week to put together one video, sometimes maybe two, depending on the video. And then, I would rather put out one really good video because I know that people are willing to wait for one good video as opposed to just wanting to put out trash, because I can throw anything out there that I want to, but then again, my name is on the product.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And see, going off of that, I'll tune into some of these fishing live streams and they'll be on for like 9 hours and one fish. See, that's kind of a waste. I'm not going to waste my audience time fishing for 6 or 7 hours for one fish. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I'm going to make sure I'm on
crazy.
the fish. Yeah. I'm going to make sure I'm on the fish and then I'm going to go live. Go live and then sit there and not catch anything.
Yeah.
And
even then, give it 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
About what you would do a live like this show.
Exactly.
Maybe an hour tops.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I think you overstay your welcome at that point.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I think you're right. I really do.
But if you're on the fish, more power to you, and stay out there however long you want to, because that's what people want to see. But there's some people that go on there and just 5 hours, one bite, one fish. I can't do that. Not on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I got things to do on a Saturday. I'm not watching somebody get a bite.
Not unless the conversation that's happening is good.
Exactly.
How often do you go fishing, like for catfish or bass or whatever? And if you just really can't find them, how often do you actually change your game up and start fishing for something totally different.
Yeah.
How often before I change the game up?
Yeah, I mean, that's something you hardly ever do.
Well, the areas I fish are pretty much, I know them like the back of my hand. So I kind of know ahead of time, like, okay, I'm going to go out there and get some brim. And a lot of them, they might not be in the same spot I specifically think they're going to be in, but, I'll just fish around the area and end up finding them. That's kind of like the brim bed. I knew they were within several hundred yards of this area. You just kind of got to fish and find them. But I get something in my head, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm not gonna go home empty-handed. You can ask anybody, my wife, my dad, kids. I'm coming home. I'm going to catch fish. I'm not coming home empty-handed. There's gonna be a lot of fish put in the boat, one way or the other. I mean, and that's what makes you a better fisherman, is working through that, those issues of, wow.
Exactly. Right.
And that's,
I mean,
go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Well, there was a video I did in February. It was like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and I went bass fishing. Now, the first 2 hours,
I saw that.
Yeah, I didn't catch anything, and this, I'm trolling motors coming out the water, and I'm fishing tree to tree, and you kind of have to sit there and reevaluate, like, okay, kind of pep yourself up, like, all right, I can catch some fish. I ended up catching a bunch of bass that day. And I mean, I had been fishing the front of the trees, which were the wind side. They were hanging out on the back side of the tree. So once I figured that out, it was like going and pitching a wacky worm or a shaky head or, something like that on the back side of the trees. And I was catching them every few trees. So, you kind of just have to reevaluate. You go in with plan A, but you need to have B, C, D, E, and F in case A doesn't work.
Absolutely.
A lot of guys go out there with A, and then they don't know what their B, C, D, E, or F is. If you get the F, that's, a lot of things have gone wrong to get the F. So.
Just call it.
Yeah. But, yeah, so, you kind of just have to work through it. And that's the same way with catfishing. We'll drag for a mile and a half without a bite, or I'm giving it 10 minutes. And, sometimes we'll get a hammer bite, a huge fish, but you just kind of keep pounding at it, man. You got to work. Fishing is work. If you're going to catch fish, it's work, unless you're fishing in a pond. But yeah, to answer your question, just, you got to stay at it. Don't go out there 2 hours and get frustrated. Like I said, get those plans, get what you want to do lined up, and just stick to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they may be on brush piles today and be in coves or on rock places.
Yeah, just because they were on one bait today don't mean they're going to be on the same bait or the same area or the same depth tomorrow.
Exactly.
That happens a lot. It does where they are. Yeah, you can usually find them pretty consecutive in a certain area, but if you go back and they aren't there, they've done something different.
Well, my dad had used the term, and he's in that generation that grew up with the term lockjaw. You probably heard that. The fish got lockjaw. I don't believe in it. All fish are opportunistic feeders. They're going to feed at some point. You've just got to figure out how to either get that reaction bite, like we were talking with catfish. Even fish that are not hungry, there's something that's going to cause them to react to bite. That you're either going to make them mad, just something's going to turn them on to either hit with catfish and crappie, brim, or bass. And you just got to figure it out. And it might be small changes.
Yeah, may even be the exact same bait, just a different color.
Exactly. Or like, I wasn't having fish hit on a wacky rig one time, and so I started adding the rattle to it. I would add a brass washer and a glass bead, and it would click off the bottom. And that right there, they would hammer in on it because of that little extra clicking noise. They couldn't stand it for some reason, but a regular wacky rig, they would not hit. So, like I said, you just have to
find the angle of that dangle. That's all it is.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I agree. John.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about what kind of a hook do you like catfishing?
I normally run an 8/0 circle hook.
I've got them
hook,
isn't it? Yeah, it is. The reason they like this kind of a hook is because the way this bend is right here,
That's a live bait hook. That's a good hook.
The bait in there. Yep. I don't know. I mean, I've never really seen the kind of hook you use. I mean, I don't use that kind of a hook very much, but you know,
that's circle. That's circle.
Okay, see, I do use
Dude, that
a
is
circle
mean.
hook. That's usually my go-to hook. Is a circle hook. It really is.
That's a 8-0.
And even striper fishing.
Today we were using. I know this isn't that's an 8/0, just the offset circle. But today we were using these. It's a double barb. It's a little bitty inch tall gold hook, but it's got 2 barbs on it to kind of hold the herring on. They were swallowing those things, but this time of year you have to keep them first 5. So, but as far as catfishing, I'll run anywhere from a 5/0 circle all the way up to 8/0 circle, and those sickle hooks for my live brim, I run a 12/0. So they are
okay.
Really big.
Right. Okay. But you're using bait that matches the hook.
Oh yeah. With the big 12/0s, I'm using pound brim live, like huge brim. But with those 8/0s, I'm usually just running smaller chunks. You just want enough hook to stick out to get them hook the fish.
All right, we'll change it up pretty quick. We're running over a little bit, but I'm having a good time. And if anybody else has got to go, well, see ya. But
real quick.
Anyways,
hello to our new field staff member, Derek Marlowe from the Battle Barracks Boys.
Oh yes,
what's up, dude?
Yep, there it is, Derek Marlowe. Yes, hello, Derek. We're glad you finally made it. We're glad you made it. Must be you had something come up, but that's fine. We all sometimes do. But you're here. That's what matters. Let's talk a little bit about crappie and brim fishing. Okay. Now we're going to downsize a little bit. All right. This is more of John Sparks' type fish. Okay. The little guys. Well, I don't know. That last show we did, that was not very good. I mean,
come on.
I mean, me and Bo, we caught some ones. We caught bait fish is what we did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. But let's talk about, you don't fish watery a lot.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do most of my crappie fishing at watery.
All right, let me rephrase this. You don't make videos from there a lot.
Yeah, I did one, that picture that you used for the thing tonight was at watery.
When did you do that?
Last week.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, all right. I guess I
just about all my crappie videos on there at watery.
I guess I better get on the stick a little bit better there. But anyway.
Yeah. I'm out.
You know, I don't care what kind of fish it is. I enjoy it. I mean, you know, you've got a lot of different techniques crappie fishing.
Yes, sir. I'll jig trees at Santee for them, the cypress trees in the swamp. But at Watery and Murray, I pull jigs. I pull double jigs. I run a 16th on the bottom, and about 2 foot up, I run a 32nd. Now, the bottom jig, I do tie a loop knot, and I'll run with little Roadrunner style head. It has it's a bladed jig, little 16-ounce jig. And that double jig rigs allows you to run 2 different color jigs at one time. So you can kind of figure out which one they're hitting on and change them all over to that color. But I'll run 6 to 8 rods.
Yeah, I started using that same technique several years ago, running two lines off from one line.
Yep. And, drop loop about 1.5 feet, 2 foot up. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And it's pretty productive because it allows you to use 2 different baits on a rod at 2 different levels.
Yep. And 2 different colors. So
and it's projective. It really is. So that's a good thing to remember when you're out crappie fishing. I mean, that's another whole show. Seriously.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
we'll have to do another one about that. I'll have to break that off.
We definitely will. You're going to do some duck hunting this year.
Yeah, well, I've always duck hunted, yeah, but this year is going to be cool hunting the impoundment. We put a lot of work into that. We'll be planting wild rice within the next month. So my dad's getting 200 pounds of wild rice, and we will be planting it. We put up wood duck boxes, got birds coming in, so I'm pretty excited about that as well.
I saw that where you were putting a lot of duck boxes.
Yeah, you saw my fall. You saw my dad fall.
Yeah,
and that's,
yeah.
What you're talking about, that's the land that you said that hasn't been touched for 50 years, right?
That's the duck impoundment. They built it in 1970. And as soon as they build it, like it's 10 acres. They even set a 3-acre area off of it that you can flood corn. Well, some kids came in and busted the dam up and drained it to get all the fish. So they never did anything with it. They fixed the dam and filled it back up, but it's never been duck hunted. So we got a lot of birds.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a diamond in the rough.
It's almost like you're cheating. All right. So
yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Hey, I've gotten up enough at 2:00 in the morning to sky bust or be around people that are sky busting ducks.
Yeah.
I don't do that no more.
Yeah. Derek, Derek has a question. He want to know if that was like talking about spider rigging. No, spider rigging is where you got like 8 different wires that come off from a weight off the center. This is what we're talking about here, Derek, is where you have your one main line that comes down from your fishing rod, and it comes down, and I use a three-way swivel about halfway down, and it allows you to tie 2 lines on there and another line, and off from that you'd put a bait, and then you'd drop down. It's hard to say. You have to decide when you're out there where the fish are active at, but 2 feet, 3 feet, you'd come down to the bottom of your line and put another bait. So you've only got actually 2 baits. I know some guys use 3, but you really actually only got about 2 baits that are on your line at any time, and you slow troll with them for crappie and panfish. Did I get that pretty close, John?
The spider rigging we do, a lot of people, they'll use like an egg sinker, about a foot leader or so, or either they'll put what they call pushing jigs, and you pretty much everything's vertical straight down the front.
Right.
Long linings, but everything's casted out the back.
Right.
So, it's basically your lines are all straight down like a spider.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I misunderstood the question.
Yeah. So,
okay.
With the pulling jigs, I normally run like a 0.7 to a 0.8 miles an hour. And depending in the summer, you can still long line for crappie. You just have to run a heavier setup because they go deeper. So I'll run up to a mile an hour, maybe a little over a mile an hour. But with your spider rigging, you're going to go at a really slow rate. You don't want your lines to get tucked up under your boat.
Right.
So you want them to stay vertical. And so that's basically, you kind of just push them along really slow like that.
Right. Sorry, I just didn't understand your question, Derek. I thought you were talking about that rig they use when they're bass fishing, where they were trolling for stripers. That's an umbrella rig.
Yeah, umbrella rig. There you go.
Umbrella rig. Yep. So yes, your question was correct. All right. Well, listen, guys, we're on overtime, and I guess probably we ought to go ahead and cut it off here. I really want to thank everybody that showed up here today. Where did Shane go?
Great question.
I want to thank everybody that tuned in. There's Shane. Shane, stop pushing buttons. You don't go yet, Shane. I want to, thank everybody that tuned in and watched us this evening. I hope you learned a little bit from John. We're going to have him back at another date. The next show is going to be 2 weeks from now. Hopefully sooner or later we'll get to do this every week, but right now we're just kind of bi-weekly. The next show is going to be on July 1st, and we're going to have Billy Jake Toller from Down Home Pursuit. Not Homeland Pursuit. Down Home Pursuit. Thank you, John. He's going to be on, and there again, it's a different type of fishing and a different type of hunting. He does a lot of hog hunting and stuff like that, but he bass fishes.
Ooh.
He does an awful lot of cat fishing, but it's a different type of cat fishing out that way. So it'll be an interesting show. John Jeffcoat, I want to thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
I
we had a question.
I want to know when we're going fishing.
Anytime you want to
okay.
go.
Well, maybe one day me and John or me and Shane will get together and we'll come down and we'll go do some fishing and you can show us some of your secrets. And
Fine with me.
Then I can come back and report them to everybody. But I really appreciate you taking time. Oh, we got another one here.
There's a great question.
My producer,
from one of the other Battle Branch boys.
My
I'm like,
telling
Chase
me
has got a question.
Get with it.
Come on now.
So, Chase, to answer your question, I would say whatever water you're fishing, anything fresh, whether you're fishing fresh cut bait, live bait. But like I said, you need to find out what's prevalent in your area. I don't know what lakes you're fishing, but down here it's usually herring, shad, panfish, perch. But yeah, anything fresh and dry shrimp. Shrimp works really good. So,
in other words, you got to match the what?
Match the hatch.
Match the hatch.
Boom.
There you go. Boom.
Oh yeah,
All right,
yeah.
everybody. Go ahead.
Make sure you subscribe to my channel because at 2,000 subscribers, I am giving away
some stuff.
He's giving that to me.
Yeah, right.
Another catfish rod and reel. This is a Sugaling Warrior on a Lure Era medium heavy 7-foot rod. It's got a Kevlar tip on it, or your choice of a loose bass combo. So, or if you want a gift card in that amount. Yeah.
Take the catfish and rig. Thank you though.
Yeah. I'll just send it to you right now.
Check out John, everybody. Check out John One Over Outdoors. He's on YouTube channel. He's you don't really have a Facebook channel, do you?
I have a Facebook, but I got away from doing the Facebook. I felt like it wasn't personable enough. You know what I mean? I want people to interact.
I hear you. I understand what you're saying. But you can also check him out. He has a program that we have. We upload all the shows to our Roku channel on the Outdoor Adventures channel, or you can also catch him on www.outdooradventureschannel.com. So, as well as all of our other content providers. Every other week, we're going to have a new content provider on. They're going to tell us all about their secrets for hunting and fishing and whatever they may have. And we're going to revolve everybody. John will probably be back here next month again with some other, and we'll talk about, just exclusively maybe brim fishing or something like that. So I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your support. Please make sure you support John Jeffcoat at One Over Outdoors. And I want to thank all four of you guys. Shane Cannon.
It was awesome.
I want to thank John Sparks and John, why can't I get that last name right? John Jeffcoat from One Over Outdoors for being on here tonight. Like always, folks, thank you for tuning in and watching. I'm Jim from Carolina Outdoor Adventures TV. We'll catch you somewhere in another week in the great outdoors. Thank you for watching.